you doing?
Just another day,
Just
another
another
way.
day? Okay,
That's what I like
okay.
to say.
Oh, what does that
Dang, that was
mean?
yeah, just another day, another way. Just, just
Bars?
got to figure it out. Rinse and repeat. How are
Okay,
you
cool.
doing?
I'm good. I am so glad to have you on this episode. We met Monday,
Yeah, not even a week ago.
not even a week ago,
And
and
you
here
already
we
got me on
are.
your platform.
Thank you. I
Willingly,
appreciate
of
you.
course.
Thank you. Yeah, no bribery or
No,
blackmail or
just
whatever.
shout out to our homegirl Alyssa for plugging us from
Yes,
Athletic Forum, UW alum. Y'all go to
appreciate
the
you.
same gym together, so I
We
went to
do.
work out with her and you came to my event. We'll get into all that.
Yeah,
But
we
yeah,
will. We
shout out
will.
Alyssa.
Yeah.
Appreciate you.
Yes. Thank you. So I want to kick this off by saying, we met Monday, but
Tell
it was
them where though.
at your amazing event. Yes. Okay, why don't you tell them about the event? Why don't you
Yeah, so we're in Seattle, y'all, the Pacific
Wait.
Northwest. What's
Who
up?
are you?
Who am I?
Yeah.
In this very moment, my name is Yoga Bob.
Okay, Yoga
But
Bob.
Yoga Bob lived many lives and have been on many journeys. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm a wellness coach. I'm a yoga dealer, your
Okay.
neighborhood yoga dealer. But
Okay.
before that, I was a professional basketball player, 12 years in Italy,
Yeah.
drafted to the NBA, 6 NBA teams.
Okay.
Before that, went to University of Washington, 4 years
Awesome.
starter, graduated with my bachelor's in writing. And then before that, I started off my journey in Compton.
Okay. Wait, you said you mastered in what?
My bachelor's in writing.
Oh, cool. What are
Yeah.
you doing with that? Or
Uh,
are you?
I got a yoga children's book I put out a couple
Okay.
months ago. Yoga Bob, the boy who brought light to the night. It's about a boy scared of the
Oh,
dark, and then he conquers his fear of the dark by practicing yoga.
wow. That's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing. Where can people find that?
that's on Amazon, Barnes
Okay.
and Noble,
Bet.
all the websites you can purchase books. I would hope so.
Bet.
Yeah, but yeah. So back to Monday,
Mm-hmm.
we had my nonprofit, Grow
Mm-hmm.
and Wine Connect. We had a wellness workshop partnering up with Seattle Children's Hospital. And Alyssa's on my board, and she came and supported, and she invited you. So that's
She
how we met on
did.
Monday.
Thank you,
We did yoga
Lisa.
with the kids. We did basketball drills, some positive affirmations, breath work, and then we had Lenny Wilkins and my former teammate Nate Robinson came and spoke.
That was a
So
powerful event. I was grateful to have the opportunity to come because I knew it was pretty locked in,
yeah, it
on
was a
the
private
list.
event technically,
Private
but
event, and so
you
really
snuck in
grateful.
somehow. Huh?
Yeah,
Is
thank
that
you,
what you do a
Lisa.
lot? You just finesse yourself into
Yeah,
situations?
you gotta do what you gotta do, But I'm glad I was able to get in the room because it was just so clear that there's a lot of respect and admiration in that room. Just to see you and Nate talking to Lenny Wilkins, and it was clear how much you guys like respect and honor, his legacy, and that it's benefited y'all, and
Yeah.
and then him pouring into everyone else is like a cyclical um moment of like truth and respect, and
It,
what do you call it? Each one teach one type
Yeah,
stuff, you know what I'm saying?
it was a healing moment for me. I
Oh,
got
was
to
it?
hang out with Nate
Yeah.
and reminisce on the good old days, but yet
Yeah.
have Lenny Wilkins, who I always admired because I
Yeah.
never played with him, but
Hmm.
he's popular in the NBA world, Seattle, for
Hmm.
many things. So the fact that I got to moderate and ask them questions
Right.
or talk to Nate, and again, that wasn't for the kids. The kids were like 4, but
Yeah.
all the
They're
parents and
super
adults in
cute.
the room, they probably got more from that Q&A than the kids. The kids
Yeah.
will, as they get older and look back at those pictures, like, oh wow, I was there. We all did
Right.
that too. We were a little like, oh, I took a picture with so and so.
Right.
But yeah, that was amazing. Shout out to Nate and Lenny Wilkins also for pulling up and helping me out with that.
Yeah, that was beautiful. The kids were really well behaved. Not that they were like
Uh, they
little
they
and sitting. Well, what the last part that I caught, they
they
were
had a
sitting
long
there.
day, so for imagining how long what they did all day, and now at the end
Mhm.
having to really focus because they were like 4 or 5 years old,
Okay.
and the workshop was open to like up to 6th graders, but
Mhm.
Seattle Children's had their special kids there, not
Mhm.
special needs, but their daycare kids, and they brought
Okay.
them in, and we made it work. I've
Awesome.
taught 4-year-olds and 5 years before, and they will not
Wow.
listen to you. They will do what they want,
Right.
and you have to act like that doesn't bother you because you don't want to
You
lose the
did
rest of the kids.
great.
Yeah, so I prepped. Luckily, I had training before those
Oh,
kids,
okay.
but yeah, no, they're very innocent when kids.
Yeah.
And back to me being a yoga dealer,
Mhm.
I work with schools, athletes, and families
Right.
around the world
Mhm.
through my nonprofit, and I love working with high schoolers, middle school, and elementary school kids. But if I had to choose which grade or which level I would work with, I would probably go with elementary school kids,
Okay.
just because they're much more innocent. They don't know how their body feels yet, so they will show in their body like if it's working or not. And if they don't
Mm.
mess with you, they'll let you know they don't mess with you. Like
Right.
they don't have that filter. Like they're just
Mhm.
very honest. So it gave me a chance to really practice teaching yoga because I
Mhm.
didn't really care to teach adults. There's enough yoga for
Mm.
adults out there, right?
That's
I
right.
wanted to monetize it and normalize it in areas that don't have access to that.
Right.
So back from being in Compton, I know I'm in Seattle now, but that's where I do most of my work.
Okay.
I do monthly yoga activations at the Compton airport for the
Oh,
last 3 years, once a month.
wow.
I work with schools, charter schools, private schools, public schools, and
Okay.
I work with sports teams too, from high
Okay.
school to college to pro teams eventually. And yeah, again, I want to just emphasize the importance of yoga, not just as a man, but as a
Mhm.
black man,
Right.
as a black man from the inner city, as an
Right.
athlete, because yoga's for everybody. Yoga don't discriminate, but a lot of
Mm.
people have this stigma and stereotype towards yoga because they never done it, or they
Right.
think it's just for women, or
Right.
just think it's for white people
Right.
or rich people.
Mhm.
But it's cheap. It's just a mat and you versus you. So that's kind of, as I
Mm.
mentioned, my next chapter in life after being a basketball player, after now making it out of Compton. I'm trying to make
Mhm.
it back in. And
Okay,
as I learned,
interesting.
as hard as it was to make it out, it's even harder to make it back in
Right,
because
speak on that, speak on that. What do you mean by that?
as hard as it was to make it out, meaning part of my grow and want to connect, meaning when you grow, you have to grow up wherever you're born.
Mm.
Whatever's around you, you have to take it in. But after a certain age, you have to unlearn, and that's where the
Mm.
unwinding happens. But most of us don't get to do that because we stay in that environment.
Right.
So leaving Compton, I had the chance to unlearn,
Right.
meaning go to Seattle where I went to college. But
Mhm.
again, there's more ways to unlearn. Then I left America. So leaving America
Mm.
for 12 years, it really helped me, just like every phase of my life did.
Right.
But leaving America, I left the rat race, the programming, and
Mm.
trust me, Italy has its own too, but
Right.
the awareness, right? So
Okay.
then once I moved back here 3 years ago, I
Oh,
was
that was recent.
I was very depressed and I started going back to my old habits and I was
Mhm.
like, I don't want to do that.
Wait, can I ask what some of those habits are?
Just, the normal default settings that you have when you grow up in your neighborhood or in your family house. Like I moved back to Compton.
Mhm.
And so again, I unlearned stuff, but once you get back to that original starting ground you grew up in,
Right.
you're gonna really see, am I really healed or was I just away from
Mm.
everything? So that's
Right.
when I began that healing journey
You
because
didn't answer my question.
I can't answer it fully. That's my best
Oh, okay.
way.
All
I'm
right. All
still
right.
doing it. I don't know.
Okay. All
And,
right.
and
That's all right.
so leaving Italy or leaving America allowed me to begin working on practices to begin my healing journey once I came back.
Got it.
Because if you don't leave, for me, you can't really heal.
Right.
You can't heal while stay there. It's harder. And
Right.
most of us need a chance. So yoga. So
Okay.
yoga was my way to help heal. Yoga was my way to give back to my community.
Mhm.
Yoga is my way to build my wellness business. And it's been going great so far. I do retreats in Italy now. As I mentioned,
Awesome.
I released my yoga children's book. I'm working on workshops with children's hospitals, libraries, with
Mm.
schools, just promoting wellness, different practices, and speaking engagements. Teachers need it too.
Right.
Companies
Oof.
need it. We all need it because everybody's bringing energy from home to school, school to home, work
Right.
to home. Just everybody needs to learn various ways to decompress.
Okay.
And decompress doesn't mean going out and partying or smoking and eating processed food. That's just trigger. That's just
Mm.
triggering and traumatic stuff. So,
Okay.
and again, I'm not perfect. I am not perfect, but I try to be better every day with my wellness and just being more mindful. So, what
Awesome.
about you? How you work on your wellness practices, your morning and night routines?
I could do better there. I'm on right now. I'm doing a meditation challenge with my family,
Mm.
some of my older cousins and my mom and such. And so that's been really fun. Just getting back into meditation and trying to build a habit around it. Just short. It's like 5, 6 minutes.
That's all you need.
Yeah, just kind of getting back into those habits. I start my day also just breathing and just being grateful and I try to stretch, but I'm not perfect. I'm not
You
consistent.
can
Routine is
stretch in
hard for
bed.
me.
I call it bed stretching. Bed stretching is the
That
best
counts.
stretching.
That
What do
counts.
you mean you're stretching?
Okay. All right. Well then I have
Bed
some.
stretching. I stretch in bed more than like you're in bed. Just
Okay.
a little knee to chest, a
All right.
little
And it counts. Knee to chest. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
It's the best. That's like the easiest, laziest stretch. Like you're still stretching. Like if you're gonna be lazy, at least stretch in bed.
All
Like
right.
yeah. So
Still
I love it.
productive.
But no, all right. Go ahead. What else you gotta do?
I just downloaded an app. It's like a journal app,
Mm-hmm.
and I love talking to this journal app. I call AI like my best friend, and now it's my therapist. No, I'm just kidding. But I love this app. I tell a lot of my friends about
What's
it.
the name
But
of it?
it's called Untold,
Okay.
and you can speak into the app, and then it will give you prompts back.
Mm.
It will say, Sydney, based off of what you said, you can leverage this Taoism perspective on how your life is going, and how you might
Hmm.
incorporate that to shift how you're thinking a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm a certified coach. I'm a co-parent coach, and so some of it does what coaching does, where it's giving you other perspectives, or it'll write a poem based off of
Mm.
what you said, or it'll tell you a fictional story like based off of what you've said. And I think sometimes I'm like, oh, this is probably going to be corny AI. Like, how good can it be? It's
Yeah.
great. And as
Is
much
it free
it is free.
for
I believe
now?
it's free. Yeah,
You
it's
should.
only on. I'm like giving them all this promo.
They
I
might
really love.
sponsor you, but yeah.
They might want to, because I've already forwarded this to so many people. But yeah, it's free. It only works on Apple products right now, though. So
Okay.
hopefully they'll extend it.
So it's like an AI therapist,
It's pretty cool.
and it uses
I won't go as far, but it'll give you a psychological perspective. And I'll
yeah.
check with my therapist. It's like, hey, this app said that I'm catastrophizing. I'm like, oh, because my son is dealing with this. That means in the future he's going to deal with this. And it's like,
Mm.
you kind of took that a little far. And I was like, the app said I was catastrophizing. She's like,
Yeah.
that is what you were doing, yes. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, this AI is pretty good.
You just put me onto something, so
Yeah.
oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I asked you about your morning routine because
Right.
I travel a lot,
Mhm.
but when I'm not traveling, I'm back home at my family's house in Compton. It's very important to have a morning routine and a night routine,
And
but
why?
for sure a morning routine because once our day started, we're distracted. We're
Mhm.
again, as I mentioned, in the rat race, and we have to talk to people where we're stimulated. We're looking around. We're trying to make sense of things. I think they said we make over 50,000 decisions a day.
Okay.
And again, before you start making decisions, you have to make sure your body and your mind is right to handle all that stuff, because your decisions will change your life. Every one decision you make can change your life forever.
Mhm.
So for me, and again, I try to do it every day. I'm not perfect, but I stretch in bed. I sit up straight and do my box breathing for 5 or 10 rounds. I do a little quiet meditation. I think about 3 things I'm grateful for every day. Not the same thing. I think about my goals for the day, what I want to do for the week. Just I update
Mhm.
myself, I mean, like a software update, like a phone.
Mhm.
Before I even start my day, I don't look at my phone for the first hour usually, because
Mhm.
once you look at your phone, it's a wrap.
Okay.
You're in there. So, and I drink a cup of water. Like, I walk on grass outside barefoot.
Ooh,
I go
I
to the
like
sauna in the
that.
morning. So I literally have to prep my mind and my body to deal with because I deal with a lot of stuff. We all do. And if
Mhm.
you're not ready to deal with it, you just jump up and go, especially if you don't sleep enough hours or prep yourself before
Mhm.
bed, it will set you up for success. The most
Mm.
successful people have a morning and night routine.
Okay.
I'm not talking about breakfast and going to the bathroom and
Mhm.
brushing your teeth. No, we all got to do that. But
Mhm.
like, what is separating yourself from everybody else to give you that special life you want?
Okay.
And it starts with your routines, your morning routines. So,
I needed to hear this, because as my business grows, as I have more responsibilities with,
yeah.
my son and my day job, I also work in tech, and so I have found myself quick, and I have ADHD too. So my
Oh,
mind's
me
been racing
too.
all night. It's I don't know when it's not racing. But sometimes I'll wake up from sleeping and I'm like, dang, I don't even think I got a break, because I was dreaming
Mm.
actively the whole time, from what I could tell, anyways. But anyways,
Yeah.
I wake up and I'm like, I could take a moment to meditate, or I could get this email sent and I'll be further along
Yeah.
here. And so I'm watching myself as I grow and being more successful, and then therefore in some ways being more busy. I am a little worried that if I don't, start, having a routine, that I could continue to go down this path, and it'll get more challenging.
You're
And
going to
so,
get burnt out.
yeah.
And all the stuff that you said, I'm dealing with it too in my own way. Scaling the
Mhm.
business, trying to delegate, trusting people
Mhm.
to delegate. How long are those people going to stay before I have to find more
Right.
people,
Mhm.
interns? So as you continue to scale business, you have to delegate. If not, you're going to get burnt out because you're doing new things and you're still doing the old things.
Right.
And you have to train people or trust people to handle your vision, your baby.
Right.
So that's why, again, for work, for school, for whatever, family members, you need to prep your mind. If not, y'all just going to be trauma bonding and throwing energy off each other. And, it's going to be a downward
Right.
spiral.
Yep.
So, speaking of which, you said you have a child.
I do. I have a 10-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Dior. He's loving my life,
Yeah.
point blank. And Yeah, it's been really rewarding. It's also been challenging co-parenting, but also there's been a lot of great moments as well. But I definitely want to learn from you a little bit too, because you're further along in your co-parenting journey,
I
right? How old is
am.
your daughter? You have one child.
I have one child that
Uh-huh.
I know of.
Oh,
Just never know.
stop.
I'm just
I
saying.
don't
I
like
got
that.
one. Only got one. It's
Okay.
a dry humor. I have dry humor. That's a little
Okay. I mean, ooh, it
sarcasm.
happens.
You can't say that. A
I
man
can't. I can't
can.
relate. I
That's what I'm
can't
saying. Men can
relate.
say that.
That would be real
I'm
wild.
not wishing that into the universe. That was a
Okay. I'm
joke.
just
That's
gonna
a
go ahead and
joke.
knock on some wood real quick
Man,
there, cause yeah.
it's both. But yeah, no, I have an 18-year-old daughter, my biracial angel,
Oh.
um,
Okay.
living in Seattle, Edmonds,
Okay.
and I'm back in town for her high school graduation.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
This is a
Yeah.
huge milestone.
It's the first of an adult, young adult milestone, but yeah, I'm excited for her.
Mhm.
A new chapter. One chapter is ending, a new chapter is beginning
Right.
for many reasons.
Mhm.
She'll be attending college at Cal State Long Beach, which means she's
Okay.
going to be moving down to LA and living with dad and
That's
her grandfather. So she went
awesome.
from living in Edmonds with her mom and two little brothers to living with her dad and grandfather. So we're
Awesome.
all excited but nervous for this experiment,
Right.
but it's our time to have and to drive each other crazy and
Yep.
to love on each other. So I'm
Okay.
excited. I waited a long time for this moment.
Yeah. So yeah, let's talk on that. So you guys weren't 50-50 in terms of residential
Technically,
time.
we were, but since I never lived here for work after
Okay.
I graduated from college,
Mhm.
I, just adjusted through my travel schedule.
Okay. Okay.
And, we went to family court, we had our, co-parenting agreement or whatever it was
Mhm.
called. And if I lived here like a normal person, I would have had her, just like 50-50. But
Right.
my basketball career
Okay.
came first,
Mhm.
unfortunately, because that's my livelihood. That's how I pay the bills. And
Mhm.
I know a lot of parents can relate to that. One parent has to, sacrifice more than the other.
Right.
But now, as I mentioned, this chapter, I get to kind of, bring this back and be in her day to day life.
Right.
Because
Right.
I was in her life as best as I could. I tried,
Mhm.
financially for sure.
Mhm.
But, as a basketball player, an athlete, work takes you and travels. But she's
Mhm.
been able to come to Italy, as I mentioned, every spring break or most
Okay.
spring breaks. So she got to see
That's
a lot of the
cool.
world. She got to see, we've been to almost every state in America.
Okay.
I was the fun parent, but
All
I was a
right.
parent like I don't have that much time, so I'd rather leave her with great memories. So while I'm gone for
Mm.
8 months, we have these fun memories to hold us down until I
Yeah.
get back.
Yeah. Okay.
But
That's
not
beautiful.
anymore. No more fun memories. It's just normal memories now.
Okay.
So
What do you mean by that?
just again, what are we doing around the house for the day? Cleaning up,
So kind of more holistic. Yeah.
errands. Like, I got to see my daughter for 2-3 weeks at a time. Summers I'll be back, but I
Okay.
never like lived with her or she lived with me
Mhm.
day to day for even a month. So
Mm.
be careful what you ask for, right? Because
Right.
I almost say I want to do that. Now it's here. It's like, okay, you sure you don't wanna live in the dorms?
Right.
It's only
Oh,
20
she's not
minutes
from them
away.
dorms?
She
Okay.
wanted to, but
Okay.
she's on the waiting list. So, and plus, I
Um,
save a lot of more money by her
yeah.
living at home. Let's
Helps.
be honest,
Everybody
the
wins.
dorms cost more than tuition. And,
Oh.
oh yeah, it's like night and day. That's where they make the money from.
Oh, did not
Certain
know.
colleges, not all,
Okay.
but
I had
and
no
the other
idea.
good thing about California, since I'm a resident there, should be considered in-state. So she got
Nice.
in-state tuition too,
Beautiful. That's
and
what
she
we
has
love to
some grants to
hear.
take care of that.
Let's
So
go.
we're good. We're
Okay.
Gucci first year. But
Okay.
as I mentioned, I waited so long. And quick story,
Uh-huh.
my senior year in college,
Uh-huh.
I was at UW, and back that December going into my final year, her mom got pregnant,
Oh,
and
how did y'all meet?
just college on the Ave,
Okay.
University
You weren't like
Ave.
dating?
College life, no.
Okay,
We
got it.
were for like a month, but not like serious, no.
Okay, got it.
And then, I call her my favorite accident. And yeah, I found out in December I was going to be a dad. And I didn't tell nobody besides my family in California.
Right.
Nobody in Seattle knew. Because, you
Okay.
tell one person, somebody's going to,
Oh,
we're
absolutely.
22 years old, 21 years old.
Right.
But
Why
that was
didn't
my
you tell
senior
anyone?
out here.
Yeah.
Just because I want no distractions. Like my family knew,
Mm.
but and also maybe in the back of the mind, I was like, maybe it's not even yours, because I just never know, right?
Mm.
Until you know.
Is that kind of something? Maybe do you think all men kind of think that, or is that like a
You
athlete
got 9 months to
situation?
wonder about that. Like, I'm sure at some
Okay.
point, just
Just crosses
a
your mind.
hypothetical, like, what if? You never know,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Just
true.
trust issues are just, Just because I think about killing somebody don't mean I'm a killer.
Right.
It's just a thought.
Right.
But so yeah, my senior year, I didn't tell nobody. I didn't tell my roommate, my teammate. But it was
Wow.
very traumatic because again,
Yeah.
feel like I'm living a secret life, even though she didn't go to college there or nothing like that.
Oh, okay. What was she
But
up to?
she was just 23, living her
Living
23
life.
life.
All
Yeah,
right. Cool. All
yeah.
right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
And so I still had to worry about graduating from college,
Mm-hmm.
being a dad, and
Mm-hmm.
then also hopefully hoping to get drafted to the NBA.
Right.
Because before the pregnancy, that was my two goals: graduate and get drafted.
Okay.
And so that 4 or 5 months after that December was really tough because games and putting pressure on myself. Like, you got to perform not just for yourself now. You about to be a dad and you
Right.
still need to graduate. And
Mm-hmm.
why did you come here for 3 years if you're not going to finish it?
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
at 22, I really focused and leaned into that. And that June, I graduated.
Mm-hmm.
2 weeks later, I got drafted to the NBA. And then
Wow.
that September, my daughter was born.
Oh, wow.
And so after I got drafted to Philadelphia, they allowed me to fly back for her birth because
Okay.
her mom went past the due date, so they induced her into labor. So we got to plan and
Oh, that's
organize it.
good.
So
Wait,
then I
wait.
get to
What
fly
team did
back.
you get drafted to?
Philadelphia 76ers
Okay.
in
Cool.
2006.
Got it. Got it.
That was the year Allen Iverson got traded. That was my rookie year.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So in that 4 months, I graduated, got drafted, and became a dad. I was like, I'm 22. I did all that. I had like, all right, I think I'm gonna be all right. I think
Okay.
moving forward, because you need those receipts as you get older to kind of
Right.
confirm, like,
Yep.
no, I did that.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Sure
maybe a
did.
tough moment, but I show up. So
Yeah.
even now, I think about that, like 41, like
Mm.
22, you did all that, man. Like,
Right.
you can handle whatever life throws
22.
at you.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this: Were you guys talking? Like, how was the relationship during the pregnancy?
No, not because again, I didn't know her so well, and I was focused on
Mm,
school, and I was still in my own life. Like
right.
if we were together, it'd been different. But that again, looking back, there's no right way or wrong way to go about it.
Mm-hmm.
She would update me. I would still check in, but
Okay.
it wasn't like every day,
Right.
every type.
Did you go to appointments or like birthing
No, I met her
classes or?
her mom eventually.
Oh,
Just out of
wow.
respect, of
Hi,
course.
Grandma.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she shout out to Shelly. She was huge moving forward. Like she was the third parent.
Mm,
Like she would update me
okay.
on all the things when her mom did it, and she didn't mind doing that because she knew it was only helping her granddaughter.
I
So
want to shout out to my mom also and moms and parents who've been out there, the grandparents who play a positive role in the co-parenting dynamic
yeah,
because sometimes they can really be toxic and not help.
because they know their kids
Um,
ain't shit sometimes, and they gotta help because they don't care about the kid; they care about their grandkid
that
now,
yeah,
and that's the
exactly.
priority now to them.
Right. But to
So
understand and try to add value. And yeah, they know that the grandbaby needs both parents or at least needs to have some kind of engagement. So helping facilitate that. That's really great to hear. That's
yes,
not very common. Not as common as I think it could be.
again, everybody got their own version to it,
Right.
but so yeah, then when she was born, I was in the NBA, and
Mhm.
again, I was very not stubborn. I guess I could say stubborn, but
Right.
I was young, man. I just graduated from college. I was in
Right.
NBA. Got a little bit of money.
Mhm.
I wasn't looking to have no girlfriend. Like I
Mhm.
got years to have a girlfriend.
Right.
Why would I'm gonna try now? And just who am I kidding myself? So
Right.
I was very focused on just living my best life, traveling the world, meeting
Mhm.
people, and again, I wanted to see my daughter, but
Right.
I knew that I had time,
Right.
but you don't realize it until you don't have the time, right? You always tell yourself
Right.
that to kind of lie to yourself. But every summer I would come back to Seattle to see her. Like I
Okay.
said, we had our parenting plan in order. Always financially taken care of her, never missed a payment. So I was very
So it's
responsible.
child support.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh
got it.
yeah. I put myself on it.
Oh, talk
You
to me
got to
about
do it
that because
because
some fathers really resist it. They
man,
feel really
my first year, I was writing her checks because, back then it was still 2006, 2007. But then my financial advisor, shout out to Balash, was like, dude, just put yourself in child support. Why are you. I was like, you make sense. It actually makes sense. So
Why does it make sense?
because you want the records, you want everything, just recorded. Like I was
Mm,
keeping my checks, but what if I lose those checks one day? I don't have a copy of them.
right. And what's the risk of not having that record?
Back child support. And then you have to submit the stuff
Ah,
eventually once you do your parenting plan.
okay.
Like they're gonna ask for that regardless once you do the parenting plan because
Got it.
that's all part of everything included. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I put myself on child support and it just came out my account every month like every
Okay.
other thing did.
Okay.
And that was, you just don't need to think about it, out of sight, out of mind.
Okay.
But so yeah, coming back to Seattle every summer was amazing because if I didn't have my daughter looking back, I would never come back to Seattle as much as I
Okay.
did, which then Seattle would never turn into my second home, which
Mhm.
then I would never be doing these wellness events and working with
Yeah.
children's hospitals and UW.
Mhm.
So again, looking back, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
You just don't know why it's happening yet, and that takes
Right.
time and reflection. But yeah, every summer I came back and lived in a different part of Seattle. I got to learn a
Mhm.
new neighborhood. I met new
Right.
people. I enjoyed the beautiful Seattle weather,
Right.
boating, and I was with my daughter, and
Awesome.
it was great. But it was also sad because I knew every time I left, I would not see her for another 8 months or so. And that's another
Mm.
change in their childhood. They're a whole different person. Now
Yep.
I got to update myself to this version for 3 months, and then
Right.
know like, all right, it's gonna be another version in 3 more months. Like it just that's how it was.
Yeah.
And then of course coming for 1 week for spring break was nice, but again, it's only 1 week. And
Right.
then her grandmother would fly with her too. So again, shout out Shelly
Oh.
for doing that.
Oh.
And we made it work.
Okay.
Her mom and me was very cordial. I didn't really try to engage with her because,
Mm.
yeah, just looking back, and I know this sounds hypocritical, but she just wasn't somebody that I wanted to date.
Right.
And I know it said, well, why you have a baby with her? Yeah, I know. I asked myself that too. But, it is what it is.
Right.
But
It is what it
yeah, I
is.
just tried to stay away from communicating because it was very toxic. And I'm not
Mm.
going to, I'm already far away.
Right.
So leverage wise, why engage with somebody that's toxic and there's
Mhm.
nothing you can do about it because you're not even there.
So, because there is some level of communication needed to coordinate things, even if you do have a parenting plan. There's sometimes you have to
Oh yeah.
coordinate things. Now, what made it toxic?
Just people, and again, I'm not judging nobody, but we were all young at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of parents, I'm not going to say moms because sometimes dads do it too, but I'm talking about from my
Yeah,
experience.
we're talking about you. That's
Parents,
fine.
they're very vindictive.
Mm-hmm.
It's a competition. People are narcissists. Like we all have that in us, narcissist
I
emotion.
don't know
Some
about
live in
that.
it longer than others, but we
You
have
think
it.
I feel like
It's just like
the N
another
word's a pretty
emotion.
strong word to put on everybody.
It comes and goes. Again, it's you
Okay.
knowing like it's how like, oh, let me get out of that. That's
Because
not
like
me.
you could be selfish and still have empathy though.
Yeah,
Because is it selfishness?
it is.
Because
As a
narcissism is
parent,
like a whole
you're selfish for your kid
right.
but you're not the
I
only
wouldn't call it
parent.
That's just my thing. I'm just gonna say this right now because
Yeah.
it comes up a lot. But I do feel like I call it the other N word. I feel like people use narcissism as a phrase a lot, and
Mm-hmm. It's true.
it's a serious diagnosis. You know what I'm saying? And it's like I think if we're gonna, I do agree that we all have selfishness and we all have ego and immaturity, but those
All
aren't the
that
same as being a
together equals
narcissist.
narcissist. I think all them things you just named combined
But
together,
narcissists are like highly insecure and like
and
build a whole
intelligent.
false narrative around them. Like there's a
Yeah.
whole,
To
I don't
justify their
know.
decision making and why they're doing it, they create a false reality to
And you think
justify why they
everyone does
do.
that?
I'm saying there's small doses where we all have those moments, but
Okay.
some choose to hold on to that and live in it, and that's when it's a problem.
Okay. All right.
Again, we
I
all need to
want,
feel those emotions, but don't
right.
live in it forever because then that's part of your personality
Right.
instead of just being a moment. But all I was saying was
Yeah.
just
What made it so toxic?
I didn't know that woman, and I was getting to know her as I had a baby, as I was
Right.
trying to get to know my baby.
Right.
Like again, you gotta be careful who you make kids with because you don't really know those people. And
And
again,
even when you do know those people, you don't
you
know
will
those
never know.
people.
I don't know. You don't know anybody.
That's how I
I'm
truly
sorry. At the end of the
feel.
day, you don't know your parents, your partner, your kids.
I don't
You
even think
barely know yourself.
I don't think we know what we're capable of until we're in a certain set of circumstances with a certain chemistry of our brain.
Yeah.
And like, I think just the right set of circumstances could show a part of you that you never thought you'd see. Like even I imagine people, like the example I can think of is like being in war or having to survive or being in prison.
Yeah.
Like as much as like, oh, I have all this integrity or this is who I am. You don't know what you're capable of until you're in a certain event.
Yeah. It's called
Anyways,
adversity.
right.
You don't know your true character until you really go through some adversity.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's great when you make 5 shots in a row and the crowd is yelling and you're up 10 points. But when you miss 5 in a row and you throw some turnovers and you're in foul trouble or the ref is calling crazy bad calls, and now you get to see what is my real character now? How am I going to bounce back?
Right.
So as I mentioned, growing up in Compton, I dealt with a lot of that.
Okay.
I took a lot of negative things around me and spin it into a positive thing.
Can you give me an
I
example of
learned
one of the because I
yeah,
have assumptions, but I don't want to do that.
I learned from people around me and the mistakes they made. I
Hmm.
didn't repeat them. I was like, oh, I'm not going to do that.
Like
I learned
what?
from
What's
you.
that? I'm
Just
looking
I'm
for an.
saying from joining gangs
Okay,
to
thank you.
committing crimes
Right.
or hanging around the wrong people or being peer pressured. Just,
Mm,
there's a lot of great things in Compton too, but growing up, there's things around you that put you already at a disadvantage.
right.
And you have to be that much more focused and disciplined and have a support system and timing and resources to even get out that hole to start building finally.
Right.
And, the system is not set up to help us.
Hmm.
All of us, all of the groups, but some groups more than others, right?
Right.
But for example, growing up in Compton, I had both my parents in my house,
Okay.
my life
Wow.
to this, until my mom passed 8, 9 years ago. But I was very lucky, middle class family, didn't struggle for anything. Both my
Hmm.
parents worked, got a lot of stuff for my birthday, Christmas.
Okay.
I was like, I knew which video games I was going to ask for. I had my list.
Oh, I love
Like,
that.
I was blessed living a good middle American life.
Hmm.
But at the same time, I was in Compton.
Right.
There's, drug addicts next door. There's gang members across the street. Our houses were beautiful, but it could still be a drive-by any day.
Oh, wow.
And I love my mother. She was a hardworking woman. She was the backbone of our family, but she was dealing from trauma and stuff growing up too. Same for my daddy. He was a functioning drug addict and still
Hmm.
worked, but he had his issues.
Right.
And so you love your parents, but as you get older, you see them for who they are too, and not just as a parent,
Right.
because that's part of just growing up.
Yep.
If you don't know your family first, you ain't gonna know nobody from your job or coworkers. You're screwed because you
Right.
can't see people for who they are. So Compton was great. I'll tell this one small story, and I'll try to make it quick because you might have some follow-up questions. You heard of Tupac, right? Of course.
Who? Yes,
Yeah.
I know him.
So we all know what happened and how he got killed in Vegas and with the death row and Bad Boy. And I grew up in Southside Compton.
Hmm.
So that was the neighborhood that was infamously known in the 90s for being a part of that alleged killing. The guys in the car, Keefe D and Baby Lang. And they were my neighbors.
What? What?
So
What?
Keefe
What? What?
D
What?
lived
What?
across the street from me. And then Baby Lang, his mom still is to this day, Charlotte, they live next door to me. So I was like maybe 12 or 11 when all this is going on, right? And
Wow.
so that was just another day in Compton, like it was normal for me. But it was just like really growing up, looking back, how that was normalized. But for anybody else, it like you saw, yeah, like they were my neighbors, like they still are my
What?
neighbors. KVD don't live there no more, but Charlotte, we talk and water the grass in the
Is
morning.
anybody
And
in jail? Sorry, I don't know the
KVD's
whole
in jail.
story.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he's
All
in jail
right.
currently for some other stuff. But just, I mean, it was like 30, 40 years ago. It's like talking to a
Okay.
kid who lived in Chicago next to some of the mobsters back in the day
Wow.
in the 50s.
Oh,
And they
what
get
was
to,
that like for you?
it
Like,
was normal. It's just growing up Compton.
but
That's
they killed Tupac.
allegedly.
Oh,
But I don't know. I was in
so
there.
you know what? Yeah, that's probably a good
But
response,
but
actually.
yeah, but
Yeah, I'm like
you don't know until you know, right?
snitches.
But the story's still the story, right?
Right.
The way the history played out is still the history. And again, I could have easily went down that route. I know kids who have both parents in their household, middle class family, and they still gang banged. Ain't just
Okay.
because you ain't got a dad in your life or your mom not in your life.
Okay.
Those kids that had privileges and they still did it.
Why? Why? Why do you think that is?
Cause just,
The
it's the
environment.
eagle versus chicken mindset.
Do you think people saw you like? How do you think people saw you when you're trying to do something outside of that environment? Like,
They judge you, they critique you, because again, maybe they can't do it, or they don't want to do it, or they don't want to see you do it, because now that makes them feel some type of way. Because like, "Hey, we came
mm,
from the same place, and you trying to do it, and I'm here self-sabotaging or making excuses.
right,
I can't rock with you because that's gonna make me feel like I ain't doing my stuff.
right. What
And,
was that
and
like for you?
it's just the show must go on.
All right.
There's nothing. Deal with it when you deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
But growing up, again, there's so much adversity we all deal with, and then going back to now being a father and wanting to be there because I had my dad in my life, even though he wasn't a person, he was in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like, damn, I'm not in my daughter's life as much as I want, but I am taking care of her.
Right.
But she is seeing what I'm doing, so maybe as she gets older, she will be inspired. She gets to travel the world with me. We get to go to Hawaii and Italy and California and Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
So again, I'm doing the best I can, but she won't really truly understand that until she gets older.
Right.
But in the meantime, I still got to deal with toxic people and people trying to stop me from seeing my daughter or taking her
You're
to see
saying
her
people, but
family.
we're talking about one particular
Yeah, her
person.
mom. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
for whatever reason, because again, I don't know what's going on in her life,
Right.
but hurt people hurt people.
Hurt people. Hurt. Now, because you said earlier, you're like, hey, I had to make sacrifices to bring the bread home, right?
Yeah,
I could see someone, the flip side of that potentially, like she's making sacrifices, right?
of
Like she's
course,
holding the bag,
of
so you
course.
can go live your dream and this great career and make all this
Yeah,
money and have intimacy with. I don't know.
yeah.
That could be the perception. Like, did you guys ever have a conversation or?
Again, we never, my daughter never saw us together, like meaning
Oh
like as a
wow.
couple. Like she, you know how some people you see your mom and dad with boyfriend or girlfriend are married and then they broke up.
Right.
She never grew up saw us together. So
Mm-hmm.
for her, she just saw us separate. There was no memory of that.
Okay.
So looking back, I guess that's a great thing, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I knew at an early age I was not going to play with this woman. I did not want to lead her on.
Right.
I was being very mature for my age, but
Okay.
I feel like that backfired. Like she took it as, oh, you think you better than me? You think, I
Mm.
was like, in my mind, like, I was just being honest and trying to be real with you so we can be, but again, you don't know that person,
Damned
how
if
they're
you
going
do,
to take
damned if
it.
you don't, kind of,
And
yeah.
that still set me. So looking back, sometimes I'll be like, maybe I should have played game with you. I don't, but it's like I should have played that game. But that's again being toxic.
Because then you still would have moved
It's,
on or
it would
cheated
have made it
or
worse. It would have made it
potentially.
worse again. So
Okay.
I'm happy I did the way I did it. But
Right.
again, there's always those what ifs. But
Do you think there is something you could have done better? Like, so yeah, we're going to leave out the whole like trying to date because that wasn't what you wanted. But
no,
is there something else you could have communicated or done? Like, do you have any other accountability in how the co parenting
man,
isn't
I
working out?
thought about that for decades.
Really?
But honestly, no.
Okay.
If I was living here more day to day, it would have been a whole different timeline.
Right.
But that was not the case. And
Mm-hmm.
since I wasn't around, that gave her mom a chance to program her with all the things she grew up with, and the trauma and the insecurities and the fear and the be.
Mm.
And when I come back, my daughter's happy to see me, but I'm not. She rocking with mom. We all rock with our moms in the
Right.
beginning, right? We all
Right.
love our moms. We love
Right.
our dads too, but moms are, to be honest, more important in the early phases of development.
Mm-hmm.
I think dads are more important in the teenage years and moving forward for the
Okay.
son and for the daughter.
Right.
The son needs to know how to act like a man.
Mm-hmm.
For the daughter, she needs to have her first love with a man, be her father, so she knows how to love moving forward.
Aw.
But for the mom, it's important in the beginning because she came out your body, she nurtured you, she
Right.
gave you that love that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So both parents are important. It's just they're not important at the same time
Okay.
for all the childhood. It's not.
Right.
It's just that's what I believe. So what about you? You think so, or you think they?
Oh no, as in terms of kids, I think. Well, also I'm trying to be like inclusive, right? Because some kids have two moms or two dads and things like
Yeah.
that. So I wonder how they navigate that. But for me, I agree. I think both parents are important, even if one of the parents is like pretty toxic. I think a kid still needs to learn and meet that parent,
Oh
even if
yeah.
it's like supervised visits and things like that. Obviously there's certain examples where it's, really is inappropriate for maybe the
Mm-hmm.
parent to be around. But like I feel most of them, and I learned that from my friend she's a tribal lawyer, or she's a lawyer for a different tribe here in Washington in custody, child custody and child welfare. And one of the things I learned from tribal law is that they really try, and Washington state too as well, like not just
Mm-hmm.
tribes, but they really try to make sure that parents have an opportunity to be involved, even if it's like, hey, you got to go get some rehab or you got to do this and
Yeah.
that, but you're still going to get a supervised hour a month or whatever it is. Like they try because they know the value of a kid seeing that other parent. Like I was raised by my mom primarily, but I was so glad to be able to see my dad. I don't know if I was glad in the moment. I was definitely like, and he lived in Ohio. I lived in Seattle, so I wasn't raised with
Mm-hmm.
him. He also had brain damage right before got in a car accident. He
Mm-hmm.
got brain damage from a car accident right before I was born, like a few months, and so I was also not sure how to perceive that experience, being a little kid, being like, okay, what does brain damage mean?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know how to interact with this person. So it made it even more scary. And he was missing two fingers. So I was just like, who is this person?
Mm-hmm.
Anywho, but I one time I'll always remember this moment, but I can count how many times I've hung out with my dad on one hand. But we were standing in the hallway at my grandparents' house, his parents' house, and there's this big mirror in the hallway, and like I'm standing there, I'm like in second grade, and he's like standing behind me, has like his arms around my around me, and I'm looking at our faces like lined up, and like I look so much like him. I didn't know I
Mm.
looked like someone the way I looked like him, and so
Yeah.
I don't even know psychologically what that meant for me, but it meant a lot. Just those little things. So yeah, I didn't have a lot
Yeah.
of time with him, but it made me feel like I belonged or was connected to something. And yeah, so
That's
I
good
do
though.
agree that both parents, even if it's just little
You need that.
engagements, yeah.
You have to learn from your parents more indirectly than directly.
Hmm.
Your parents always gonna say the right stuff. Do this, do that. But you're gonna learn indirectly, meaning I'm gonna learn from all your mistakes.
Right,
Either I'm gonna repeat them or I'm gonna say, you did that, I'm not gonna do that.
right.
I'm gonna learn directly too, because that's part of it. But I learned more from my parents indirectly than directly. I learned
Hmm.
from their failures and mistakes and insecurities and fears, because I got to see them for who they are
Hmm.
and love them still for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
again, as my daughter gets older, I hope she loves both of us same, but know that we both tried our best. But
right.
both of our bests are different,
Right,
and
exactly,
that's still a
exactly.
different container. And I forgot what I was going to tell you because. Man, I mean, I'm a good dad. Not that you supposed everybody should be a good parent. Like I'm not bragging. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do,
Hmm.
but sometimes not getting appreciated because I tell my daughter all the time, you could have had a deadbeat dad. You could have had a dad who never came back and saw you, and because there are athletes and men who do that. There are moms who are
Okay.
neglect and they put their kids off with other family members and still go
Hmm.
out and party and they do that.
Right,
So I was like, Leah, it could be a lot worse for you and a lot worse for me. I think we're
right.
pretty lucky to have each other. Like
Yeah,
that's
that's
you got to always end it
beautiful.
with a positive spin,
Right,
especially now that she's going to be living with me. Because
right.
and I joke because I do a lot of photography and video production through my for-profit Growing Up Compton,
Awesome,
which is a e-commerce multimedia platform,
awesome.
and I have my nonprofit. And my daughter loves drawing, she loves ballet and arts, and she's going to work for me now. So you get because that's the
Okay.
trade-off. You're going to live with me. You gotta have to. I'm gonna feed you. You gotta be my intern,
Oh,
and she
let's
does stuff
go.
when I do events other places. So just to have her follow me and see me do yoga with the kids and just
Yep.
see me outside of being her dad. So I
Right.
said, Lee, I know I'm your dad, but 99.9% of people in the world don't see me like that.
Mhm.
So you need to start being more aware and see me how they see me
Mhm.
and not just as your dad, because that's just a word.
Right.
I'm more than just your dad. See
Mhm.
how don't just react like everybody because we all do like mom, dad, yeah. But they're an adult, they're people, they have a
Right.
story. So
Right.
I'm excited for her to see that version. I'm excited to see who she is as a young woman too,
Yeah, that's
with her little
beautiful.
freedom, and she needs to mess up, and I'm not going to judge her too much or show it. Like it's part of how it is. But yeah, to all the dads out there
Mhm.
who and again, most America, the government system don't really support us dads. They
Mhm.
don't. Everybody got privileges, right? Women, men, but in the court system, dads don't get no love from the court system for
Right.
whatever reason,
Right.
unfortunately. And I had to take that on the chin. I had to let it go and not let it bother me, even though it did, because when you hold that stuff in your body, it slows you down. It slows your organs. That's where disease and stress, like we hold a lot of trauma in our body. And when you do that, that's where the disease come from. So
Mhm.
all my dads, let it go. It's never over. Just focus on the big vision and it will pass. Let your child just get to know you for who you are. It's going to take time. Maybe they never will figure it out, but just stay true to yourself and just live in your purpose, because no matter what they say about you, meaning the mom or the grandmothers or whoever, the kids are going to see you for who you are at some point.
Mhm.
And just be ready to be your authentic self and have those difficult talks, because you got to have them difficult talks with your kids.
Right. When should you have those difficult
It started. I
talks?
did it mine as early as possible. She may not understood it,
Mhm.
but every summer I would have a difficult talk because I
Mhm.
had to normalize it.
Right. Normalize difficult. Oh, oh, sorry. What was the content of the difficult talk?
Just talking about why I'm gone and how much I
Oh,
would love to see you or where I want
okay.
to take you next summer. And, just so you know, this is how I feel about you.
Mhm.
Nobody else can speak on my behalf when I'm
Mhm.
gone.
Right. Right.
But she was like, what are you talking? Again, they're young. But if I don't
Okay.
plant that seed as she
Right.
gets older, then it's not going to grow.
Right. But you're not, because I wanted to ask, because I want to make sure the audience too knows. I hope I'm not putting words in your mouth, so correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but that you're not saying, hey, your mom lied about X. That's not true. Like,
If
is
the parent is lying about the other parent, that means they lying about other stuff in their life too.
right. But my thing, when you're having these difficult talks, are you just focused on you and her,
I bring up
daughter
her
and
mom
you?
sometimes, but then she don't want to talk about her mom because she
Right.
protecting her mom, and I get
Right.
it. Like,
Yeah.
or I'm like, hey, what your mom doing? Is anybody other men coming around? Because I want to know, right?
Oh, for her,
Because of
for your daughter's
safety.
safety.
Yeah, I
Yes.
gotta know. And
Yes,
again,
that is
I don't
true.
talk to her mom, and her
Right.
grandmother will update me.
Right.
Luckily, that wasn't always the case, but she does have 2 kids with another gentleman, and
Okay.
they're not together. But at that time when they were
Okay.
dating, they were like around. He was around,
Mm. How was
and
that for you trying
I
to
didn't
navigate
find
that?
out till about a year later.
Oh wow. Would you have
Yeah,
let you? How would you have liked to have
that's
figured out?
upsetting to know that there's a man in the house, and the grandmother didn't tell me either for a whole year, and
Wow.
they only told me once things got bad, like, oh yeah, he's not the guy we thought he was, and oh now you need my help, huh? Oh, that's
How
why.
did they need? What do you mean they
Not
needed your
physically,
help?
just like, you know, we need to go to court,
Oh
and the grandmother left the house
wow.
because now she got tired of it. And so, it's one
Oh,
of
I'm
those like,
so
oh,
sorry. That's
you know
stressful.
how a man can come in and break up people's
And
houses or a
women
woman.
too.
Yeah, but again, my point
Mm-hmm.
of view. But,
Mm-hmm.
and I tell you the other thing, dads, you cannot tell your daughters about their mom. Daughters are going to learn from their moms through the men that they date. They're like, Mom, you
Mm.
choose good men. Mom, you don't choose good men.
Right.
There's nothing men can do. They're going to find out on their own.
Right.
So again, you just gotta let time take its course,
Right.
and not try to win anything with a vindictive person, because they're just gonna go lower,
Right.
and then they're gonna
Oof.
go lower and lower, and you just gotta know, like, all right, you won for now.
Right.
You got
You
it.
got it. That's you.
You
Yeah.
got it. I'm at peace. Do you think you won? You got
Right.
it. Because again, that's what narcissists care. They care about winning in the moment. They
Yep.
don't care about winning long term.
Nope.
They want to win in this moment by any means, no matter what they say,
Mm.
do. I won. I got yeah.
Right.
So I learned, like, nah, I'm never gonna win that, especially being thousands of miles away.
Right.
Who am I kidding? My ego, I had to surrender that. But yeah, back to you, because I love the back and
Yeah, of
forth.
course. Absolutely.
So you're not with your son's father,
I
right?
am not.
Were y'all ever together?
We were together for almost 10 years.
Okay,
We were
so
high school sweethearts.
your
Mhm.
child saw y'all together,
He
loving each
did.
other in a
Hmm.
house or in a
Yeah.
home,
Yeah.
and
For the first 2 years of his life, we were together, like
mm,
still together.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
And then now, how's y'all co-parenting situation?
Ooh. It started off
Ongoing, of course.
great.
Yeah.
It started out, I think it's, like good and bad, right? Nothing's perfect, but I think I didn't even know what co-parenting was when I got started. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't think this is working, this relationship. But I think we still be friends. Let's still be friends. Like I don't like drama. He didn't like drama. So we're like, bet, let's do this. And for years it worked out very well. And recently we've been having some challenges, which I cannot speak on
Yeah.
fully, but just yet. But I said to say, yeah, we had an understanding. We always were able to have conflict and come back and
Yeah.
like
That's
see the bigger
important.
picture. Sometimes it'll take a little bit of time. It took us to go lick our little wounds, or
Hmm.
get some perspective, or get our ego and defensiveness out of the way. But we were always able to come back. Right now, I'm not seeing that, and I think it has to do with other factors and players involved.
Yeah.
But again, not going to speak on that too much more. But I will say I've been really proud of my ability. I feel like I've been tested a lot through this interaction, this relationship with my ex. Through being teenagers together, becoming parents unexpectedly, and then even now with this turmoil. The thing that I always feel proud of myself about is that I am always showing up in a way that I can look back and be proud of. I always ask myself questions about, I check in with other Black dads. I have a lot of Black dad friends at this point, and I'll tell them the real. I'm like, here's where I messed up. Here's what he's doing.
Yeah.
What is your
Yeah.
perspective? And once I've got three different Black dads being like, yeah, you might not want to do that, but I hear why you did that, and
Yeah.
like I support
That's
that.
good. That's great.
Because I know that's a unique experience. Like being a Black father, and then whether you're like going through the system of courts and things like that, or just navigating being a parent in America, right? It's just it's a unique set of challenges, and I can't begin to understand all of them, but I do have
Mm-hmm.
a level of empathy, and that's why I try to make sure I bring Black fathers on to the podcast. Even had a co-host at some point who's a Black father, just
Yeah.
because it is, like you said, there's things stacked against y'all. There's lots of things
Oh.
stacked against y'all, but even, yes, in the family system and all fathers across race, we have an event that we try to do around supporting fathers and focusing on fathers in terms of how to navigate the legal system, how to think about mental health, and things like that, and how to co-parent. And I just, yeah, I'm always thinking about fathers because I do feel like they're very vulnerable in these scenarios, and they're not thought of as being contributors,
Yeah.
valuable contributors. And so I do think we need to find another way forward, and find another way to engage fathers and support them for sure.
I think, and especially now that I do yoga and wellness stuff, I'm trying to do a more like a black man or dad,
Hmm.
forum where we come together and talk. And I've been a part of
Yes.
some already out here in LA and not in Seattle, but it gives us a safe space to be honest and share our hardships.
Right.
And not only when we're drinking or high
Right.
or gossiping,
Hmm.
like in a very positive environment, because it is important for us to talk and not just on a podcast,
Right.
you know, because some people I told I was coming on a podcast to talk about me being a single dad. It's like, don't talk too much, be careful. But I
Hmm.
haven't talked about me being a dad or stuff, the highs and lows I go through as a single dad. Never,
Oh,
ever.
really?
I mean, the first and last time I ever talked, meaning like with friends,
Hmm.
but the only time I put something out like on the internet, it was back in like 2009 or 10,
Hmm.
and this is before Instagram and all that, Twitter, of
Okay.
course, because I'm 41, and I was going to share this story with you, and I kind of told you a little bit already about this. But one summer I was coming back from Italy, like I always do, excited for my summer. I'm gonna be living in this part of town. I got 3-month lease. I get to see my daughter. I'm going to Vegas. I'm going to LA. I was just very excited to be back. And I was only in Seattle for maybe 2 days, and I drove my car up from LA to Seattle like I always do. And I was going to see my daughter, and I went to go see her for like 3 hours. I went to their house because she was still living with her mom, and then it was all together. They was all living together. In the back of the house, there was like a pool, inflatable pool. So I came over there, stopped by, I think Walgreens, bought 2 little water guns, purple and green, to play with her. She was in the
Yeah.
pool. We
How
squirted
old
each
was
other.
she?
At that time, she was probably seven or
Okay.
8. And 3 hours. It was very quick and fast. Went off about my day. The next day, I was going to pick her up and take her away. Because again, she was like, yeah, just come over and hang out, let her get used to you again. Yeah, I was like, all right, I'm just happy to see my baby.
Mm-hmm.
I come back the next day. Her mom is out there on the porch smoking a cigarette. She never sat outside before. So that was the first weird thing I noticed. And then look, she already had a bad day or something happened, right? I don't talk to her about anything else. Just picking up, let's go. Where I'm dropping off, let's go. So as I pulled up, she just wanted to smoke. She wanted to argue. Something happened, and she was ready to pour it on somebody else. Like I said, hurt people hurt people. And so she picked a argument with me saying that I bought 2 guns that resembled real life guns. And they were water guns. They were green and purple. And again, kids play video games with guns.
Right.
Kids see guns in movies and TV shows. So she was being very petty. And
Mm-hmm.
we normally never argue because there's nothing to argue about. I
Right.
pick you up, I drop her off.
Right.
But so I'm like, what are you talking about? It's a water gun. Yeah, it looks too much like a water gun. And so after
Like a
like,
real gun. Looks too much like
yeah,
a real gun in her head.
in her head. And again, it's a water gun. Like
Is this after
I bought it
Tamir
from
Rice?
no, this is 2009 or
Okay.
no, again, this is in the backyard. Like she's
Mm-hmm.
not out in public. It's just in the backyard.
Right.
And so at the end of the debate or back and forth, 10 minutes into it, she goes, yeah, well, you're not picking her up today.
Oh.
She decided just to, pull her leverage card, right?
Wow.
And so me being stubborn and naive, and I should never said this out loud, I should just kept it in my head. I said, all right, well, I'm gonna call the police then and make a document of it, right?
Mm.
Because that's all I can really do.
Right.
And we had that summer our parenting plan was being revised or something too. So I'm like, all right, perfect. I'm gonna make a report, use that in the filings, so I can show like, look, this is what she's doing. Because I can't use word of mouth. All I can use is documentation. So as I walk back to the car to call them, she goes, well, who do you think they're gonna believe, you or me? And that's what she said out
And
loud,
she's
right?
white, right?
Yeah, she's Greek and Irish, white, but
She's
yeah,
white.
yeah. In America, it's white, but they all came from
Sorry, you're right. You
somewhere.
was in Italy. My bad.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Her name
she,
is Callie Opie.
as far as America's, she white.
If you look at her, you could tell
She looks
she's
a little like
no. It's
olive.
not like there's different
She's a little
versions.
olive.
Yeah, olive.
I'm just saying in terms of
Yeah.
political and like
Mm-hmm.
stature. Anyways, I just want the audience to know. I
Yeah.
do think that matters because a white woman calling the police is different
Oh,
than a
that
black man
is.
calling the police, right?
Well, I'll give you context. So I went back in the car and I called them. I was like, "Hey guys, I'm just trying to pick up my daughter. The mom changed her mind. We have this agreement. Can somebody come up here and just make a document, right? I don't expect nobody, nothing bad to happen. 2 police cars show up, 3 police officers, 2 men, 1 woman, and then the one woman went in there with her to get her story because she went in the house. The other 2 stayed with me. I told them what happened. Then after like 5 minutes, she came out, talked to them, all 3 of them, and then they came to me. It was like, well, y'all got conflicting stories. I was like, what are you talking about? And it was like, well, she said you pushed her and you threatened to get some girls to come beat her up. And I was like, if I did that, why would I stick around? I was like, sir, I'm not dating her. We don't have no history. Like, I just got back into the country. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, I called you guys first,
Mm-hmm.
and I waited. And I wasn't angry. I was encouraged. Like I was being very monotone. And so then they walked away and talked a little bit more. And they came back. They was like, yeah, we believe you, but we
Which
just
neighborhood
can't.
is this? Sorry.
This is in Les Shy,
Okay, keep going.
actually. And so they was like, yeah, even though we believe you, we just can't not arrest somebody because there's reports where somebody can come back. And, they just gave me some BS, right? And it was like, well, we're going to have to arrest you. We're sorry because we just can't let nobody not be arrested. And
What?
so that's when I was like,
Ugh.
oh, snaps. My privilege got outweighed by her privilege
Right.
as a woman, as a white person, as whatever, all
Right.
those things. And they were very nice. It's like, we'll let you call somebody to come pick up your car. Like they were really nice about it. But I'm about to be arrested. And I've never
Nice
been
about
arrested. I
injustice.
prided myself never being arrested. And again, this is where emotional intelligence comes in because some black men may get mad and say, no, fuck that, and get argument. And now there's a problem, right?
Right.
Now
I
the
mean, it's
police got
fair
to
to
do
be
something.
mad.
No, I was mad, but I wasn't going to show it in that
Right.
moment because I was already screwed.
Right.
But my point being, hypothetically, if I would have got upset and made more of a scene, then they would have had to react. And now maybe I got shot.
Right.
Maybe I got killed.
Which
maybe,
is mom thinking
maybe
about
my
that
daughter's
when
looking in the window when this is happening and she
Right.
sees that and she's traumatized.
And is mom? Do you think mom thinks about that?
She said it out loud. Who you think they're gonna believe, you
So
or me?
she knows her privilege and she's leveraging it.
And so I got arrested.
It's giving
I
care.
spent the night in jail,
Wow.
county
I'm so
jail,
sorry.
and I was sitting not in a small cell, but it was like a big room with like 20 beds, and there was nobody really in there. And I was watching American Ninja Warrior, and I'd never watched that show before, and I had my little scrubs on, and what again is always a silver lining, right? It can always be worse. This was on a Thursday. I think it was July 3rd.
Mm-hmm.
That Friday was July 4th.
Okay.
And so if this would have happened that next day, I would have had to stay in jail through the whole weekend.
Oh wow.
So luckily that morning, I went to the little court thing, and obviously she didn't show up, and they let me go, right? Because again, she didn't come back to reinforce it. But the messed up part was I couldn't contact her for 2 weeks, meaning I couldn't even see my daughter for 2 more weeks. And I'm only back for 2 months in the summertime. So now I had to sit with 2 weeks not seeing her again and thinking about this traumatic situation. And then, I started drinking more. I gained most weight I ever gained, which wasn't that much, but I was drinking, and I got traumatized by something. I feel like I tried to do all the right things, and it still didn't work out. It still didn't work out, and I don't even blame her being a white woman. It's just her being a woman. Because I think even if a black woman did that, it wouldn't matter. Because she's a woman, that's her privilege. They would have took the woman's story because she was overreacting and acting it out, so they believed her. But at the same time, like, guys, I was here. It just didn't make sense.
It didn't make no sense.
But it made sense to them. And so after that, I learned a very valuable lesson.
What was the lesson to
I would not
learn?
engage. It's nothing to engage with that woman. I can't.
Oof.
There's nothing. That's where grandmother stepped in and became more of the third parent.
Do you think grandma knows what's up?
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay.
I will hope so. And again, I didn't talk about this until 2 years later, and I made a Facebook post. Because again, I'm not going to react the next day.
Right.
Like, I'm going to sit with it and reflect on it because I want to make sure when I do speak it, I want to speak it the right way. I made a nice little long post, and a lot of people was like, "Damn, Bobby, that's crazy," and other men sympathized, and I wanted to get off my chest.
Yeah.
And
Why did you use the internet? Why did you think you needed to use the internet to do that?
Well, that we only have Facebook and like MySpace at that time still,
But like that's
but
you want to.
I was out the country again. I was
Okay.
bored. I was alone, and again, I probably just was like, I want to release this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can help somebody else. Maybe somebody else
Right.
has a similar story. Like
Right.
I was thinking more of this is a healing thing for me.
Yeah.
And again, 2 years later. So,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, personal friends and family knew about the story, but this is my first time ever talking about it publicly since then.
Okay. Oh,
And since I
wow.
made that
Thank you
post,
for
like
sharing with us.
some people know a handful, but again, this is me now, 41 years old, talking about something that made me stronger looking
Right.
back. Like I took that on the chin and I took my L. Yeah, I tell people you gotta learn how to take your L's. There's sometimes those L's can be worse, but I took the L's like, you know what, it ain't never happened to me again. I'll tell you that much.
I'm just like I can even feel right now. I personally feel like tense. Like I like need to probably adjust my body, take a deep breath.
Yeah.
But like
It's trauma. Think about George Floyd and all this. Like when that stuff happened, like, damn, I could have if I was more unmindful and had a shorter temper and just was so angry that the system screwed me, I could have been killed or like hurt or because you see it happen in America
right,
for
which it
other
shouldn't.
s-
Emoting shouldn't
reasons.
lead to your death, but yes.
So that's why like I'm just happy that I had the composure and
Thank
just
God.
to just play it cool and just take it on the L. Take it as,
And I'm
and it's a
just like,
teaching point now. I can tell men this growing up, like other men, like don't let them trigger you. Don't let them win because even when they win, don't mean you lost. You just learned the lesson.
right.
And now you can tell that story to the next man so he can learn from that lesson, not experience it. Like I told you, I learned from other people's mistakes in Compton by watching them, not doing what they did to learn it.
Right.
So now I can tell this story to other men who maybe don't have kids yet or who do have kids, and I can help them because maybe that situation may happen to them,
God
and they can
forbid.
use this as a. But yeah, but you never know, right? I never thought it happened to me.
I'm very sorry that that happened.
Yeah, but here I am now, speaking
Here
my
you are
truth and
speaking your truth. Thank
healed,
you.
and now I'm about to live with
What
my
did it take
daughter.
to be healed? And also, how do you, when someone has wronged you like that, how do you find it in your heart or what have you to be
Yeah,
able to continue to co-parent with them when they've
karma,
wronged you?
karma takes care of it.
Okay.
You can't. You just gotta trust that the universe will take care of it, and it
Okay.
will. And it might not be when you're alive or when you're watching. It may be in their life when their own personal stuff going on.
Right.
It's out of my hands. It's nothing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Focus on what you can control.
Right.
Stay at peace. Keep working on yourself. Keep healing. Share your story. Be positive, and that's gonna that you won.
Right.
Because again, it's not a competition. I learned I'm not going to compete with a person that will try to win by any means.
Oof.
You can't win. You can't. You just gotta leave it alone. Take the L. You got another game to play. Like
Mm.
athlete, you lost that game.
Okay.
You lost
Do you
that
think
quarter.
being an athlete helped you manage this situation?
If you look at it always in a sports metaphor type of way, it can, because life is like sports, right?
Okay.
I tell people to be a professional athlete, you have to start training as soon as possible. You don't start becoming a doctor at 10 or a lawyer or anything else. But as an athlete, yeah, if you really you can start it because it's a physical thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that discipline and that mindset is right there in your head so early that if you transition, use that discipline in something else in life, you already beat everybody else.
Right.
And that's kind of what I do with yoga. I took all that discipline from playing high school, college, NBA, overseas, that yoga, basketball discipline, and I was able to transition to yoga, and it was smooth.
Okay.
I do yoga 5 times a week.
Oh wow.
I teach kids, I teach at Bay clubs, I teach at my own stuff in Compton, I teach stuff in Seattle. I practice what I preach now.
Right.
But I needed something to put that discipline from basketball into. But most athletes, once they retire, they don't put that into something else because they're depressed and worrying about the good old days and how much. You got to start using that discipline before you retire. So when you transition, it's more smooth.
Right.
And you still gonna have to transition. I don't care how much money you have. Every athlete is gonna go through a tough moment once they're done playing
Okay.
because it's the end of a chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some people hold their identity to that. I didn't. I was very smart. I love traveling. I love giving back. So I knew I would be doing this stuff, but I just didn't know how long it was going to take before I scaled it and developed it. But here I am, again, doing retreats in Italy, a
Hey.
published children book author, working
Awesome.
on trying to open Compton's first yoga studio. That's why I'm doing it
Ooh, let's
free once a month for
go.
3 years in Compton to build the community, right? If I
Awesome.
open up a studio, it's not gonna come and want to pay. I gotta show the value and show that I'm consistent and persistent and pouring into my community without getting the money first.
Yeah.
Because when you do something you love without the money will come.
Okay.
Most people chase the money first, and some who do get it realize, like, I'm not at peace yet. I'm not in my passion. I don't have purpose. But I got this money, and money gonna do more worse than good then.
Right.
So, that's in sports and life and work and love and co-parenting.
Right.
It's all alignment. So, I'm far from perfect, but I've lived a very blessed life, and now I'm just trying to be a blessing to others and pouring all those lessons and experiences and things that I've captured along my journey. So I've been to almost over 40 countries. I've
Wow.
been to almost every state in America.
Okay.
And that's not because I got money, because I used my athletic ability and my smarts, and I found the loophole.
Hey.
And I got to see more of the planet than less than 1% of people ever. So I have perspective, and I see other cultures and their hardships. First world problems here in America don't mean nothing. I tell all my kids, like, I don't feel bad for none of y'all. This is first world problems, guys. Come on, man. But until you leave your area and see other people and their hardships, like not on in a book or on a phone, in person, then you're like, man, I should be more grateful. I should be more gratitude. And every morning, I'm grateful for the life I have, for the daughter I have, for all the things I've been through, the good and the bad, because at the end of the day, they're just stories. They're not good or bad stories. A good memory can turn into a bad memory. A bad memory can turn into a good
Right.
memory. They're just memories. So again, just to have that knowledge and mindfulness, just to be appreciative. That's why I'm still here. That's
Hey.
why we still here. So
So glad you're here so I can meet you and so that you could share this powerful story. I really appreciate you being on our podcast and opening your heart and allowing us to tell your story
yeah,
after so many years of having not spoken about it.
yeah.
Is there any, I mean, you've said a lot of wonderful things. Is there any final thing you want to say to co-parents or
I mean, I did my
fathers?
little Kanye rant to
Yeah,
finish off,
I know,
but
I know. Like, you already did it, but like that's
I'm
perfect.
just again, I'm just so happy that I get to talk about this 18-year journey as a single father,
Congratulations on making this
and
far.
tomorrow is the graduation of her,
Oh
and
wow.
just again, we were saying earlier the alignment of, and we just made each other less than a week ago, and now here I'm talking about being a dad and all my other
Yeah.
passions in Seattle while I'm trying to build stuff. Because I tell people, like, I came back to Seattle to see my daughter,
Right.
but now that she's living with me, I need to find more reasons to come back to Seattle,
Right.
because now there's homecoming for football and basketball games if the team is winning, but I need to have more wellness activations with schools and
Right.
athletes and families in Seattle, because I love Seattle.
We
Seattle's
should
my
definitely
second home.
partner.
So,
Yeah.
I will always consider Seattle my second home. It was the first place I left after Compton. And so I'm just happy that you're doing what you're doing and giving me a platform and giving us a chance to share and,
Yeah.
again, talk about our highs and lows, but that's the journey.
It is the
So
journey. It's a worthy one.
gratitude, not an
Yes,
attitude.
that's right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And then for those who want to follow me, Instagram is basketballjones84. My nonprofit's called growunwindconnect.org, growingupcompton.store. And shout out to all my family, my sister, my dad, my friends, my GUC team, everybody who supported me and gave me advice and brought my name up in rooms. I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And let's keep this going. I'm in it to win it. I'm the most persistent, most consistent person I've ever met. And so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Thank you.